And now the rest of our stories. Rivers State chapter of the All Progressives Congress has rejected last Monday's judgment of the Rivers Election Petitions Tribunal that dismissed the petitions of its governorship candidate, Pastor Toyin Cole, and all its senatorial House of Representatives and House of Assembly candidates. The party, in its first official reaction to the tribunal judgment, described it as a mockery of the judiciary, adding that the judgment of the tribunal delivered on Monday, 2nd October 2023 amounts to a mockery of the judiciary, as a lower court disdainfully trashed the position of the highest court in the land, as it is common knowledge that whatever the position of the Supreme Court is on the matter becomes law. The APC stated that the three-man panel headed by Justice Cletus Emifonye allowed itself to be ambushed by purely political innuendos rather than speaking to the law, which is abundantly clear by the construction of The APC also said the 2nd of October ruling confirmed the fears of Rivers APC about getting justice in the face of iron-cast evidence presented by our team of lawyers at the tribunal, which includes the fact that the PDP governorship candidate was, as at the time he became candidate of his political party, still a serving accountant general of Rivers State, stating that the preponderance of arguments and evidence of the legal team marshaled out in the other petitions involving the National Assembly and House of Assembly candidates were equally dismissed by brother judges who presided over other tribunals hearing the cases. The Independent National Electoral Commission has announced plans to manually transmit the results of the upcoming Bayelsa governorship election on November 11th. The resident electoral Commissioner Mr. Obo Efanga, during an interactive session with religious leaders and faith-based organizations in Yenagoa on Wednesday, Efanga said that INEC was fully prepared to ensure a free, fair and credible election, with only voters accredited by the biometric voter accreditation system being allowed to cast their votes. He further urged stakeholders to advise their respective candidates to maintain peace during the electoral process. Reacting to the development on ATN Open Conversation, political analyst Chief Loveday Okere criticized the Electoral Commission for its ineptitude in deploying the electronic transmission of results in Bayelsa State, being an isolated case in which it could control much better. Here is the update.
I was thinking that we will always, improve from whatever little achievement, we have attended from point to point, from time to time, not just within the electoral system, but in other sectors. What the REC have said to me is, I can describe it as retrogression than progression. The reason being that just recently, during the general election, where we are struggling on issue that has to do with the beavers uploading and not uploading, I was thinking that now that it is going to be an election that is not going to be in all part of the country, just 3 states, that INEC would have actually deployed the technology. It would have been it would have been a test run of how strong our technology has improved. All those corrections, all those observations that I've made during the last election, it would have been proving to Nigeria through this to say that, look, some of those errors happened because we couldn't manage the volume. But now that it is just 3 states, we are deploying beavers, making sure that all our results they pass through the beavers.
Chief Loveday Okere further called for an amendment to the Constitution to close the loopholes being exploited in the Electoral Act. Here is the update.
I may not also blame INEC, because the Constitution has given them the responsibility to guide, monitor, and produce procedures on how any election can be conducted, in as much as it is within the ambit of the law. This problem can only stop when and only when our constitution is amended. The electronic system of transmission of results was not recognized by our constitution. So until that lacuna is corrected in a way of amending our constitution, some of this problem will still be there. If you also watch in this 2023 election, that argument is still coming in, irrespective of the fact that there was amendment of Electoral Act in 2022. In 2022, Electoral Act that was just recently amended. We are still finding it difficult to, conduct our elections in line with that Electoral Act. Meaning that people are actually catching on the lacuna in our constitution to say that Electoral Act cannot override the constitutional provisions, and which is very correct.
Ahead of party primaries to nominate its Edo State governorship candidate, the All Progressives Congress has cautioned its officials against endorsing aspirants who flout party directives, warning that victims would be sanctioned. The deputy chairman of the party in the state, Jared Tenebe, gave the warning in Benin, Edo State capital, when the party executives received a governorship aspirant, Honorable Ehizuwa Johnson Aboyima, at the party secretariat in Benin City. He said the various MOUs signed by the Obaseki government without any work done will form the basis for campaign, as well as the neglect of the traditional rulers in the state. Addressing the party executives earlier, Honorable Abonayima called for their support for his nomination as candidate of the party, saying that he has what it takes to govern the state, having been mentioned by Comrade Governor Adams Oshomole, who he said performed in all the 3 senatorial districts of the state without sentiments. Stakeholders of All Progressives Congress in Imo State have criticized Abia State Governor Alex Oti for issuing a quit notice to his Imo State counterpart, Hope Uzodinma, ahead of the state governorship election billed for November 11th. This is coming after Oti had at a campaign rally organized by the Labour Party in Owerri, the Imo State capital, asked Uzodinma to start preparing his handover note, saying he would be defeated in the poll. But hitting back at OT, the APC stakeholders under the aegis of Progressives League of Youth Voters accused the Abia governor of plotting to invade Imo with some members of Labour Party during the Imo State governorship election. National coordinator of the APC stakeholders, Ambassador Audu Usman Shaibu, who disclosed this in Abuja, said, as the Imo State governorship election approaches, alongside Kogi and Bayelsa states, men of good conscience should always stand to advocate for peaceful elections who believe in Nigeria, adding that Governor Oti's mission in Imo State is to sponsor violence in the gubernatorial elections so that voters will flee. Noting that Imo State Labour Party gubernatorial campaign flag-off shows that the neighboring governor is set for war. The stakeholders maintain that the APC-led government of Imo State has shown clearly the difference between good governance and maladministration, and would be wrong to fold their arms and watch a governor from another state cause chaos in Imo State. Lagos High Court has set aside the installation of Idris Adeowo as the Baale of Okebogun in Ikorodu, Lagos. Justice Adeyini Pokano, who delivered the judgment, held that the installation was wrongful, having been done without lawful authority, and also ordered Adeowo to be restrained from further parading himself as Baale of Orija Okebogun, while the judge held that the clandestine family meeting purportedly held on December 27, 2020 was wrongful, null, void, and of no effect whatsoever. He further declared that the Executive Council of the Lambo Branch Oju Egun Lasunwo Royal Family, Ikorodu, Lagos State, under the leadership of Chief Matthew Shodipo, is subsisting and indissoluble by the ultra-vires meeting purportedly held on same date. The claimants in the suit, who are Matthew Shodipo, Olotu of Lambo Branch, Losunwo Royal Family, Alhaji Gafar Shokelu, Treasurer, Chief Nuruddin Fakomaya Bale, Prince Albert Aino, Secretary Alhaji Solihu Agiri, and Prince Jamiu Badebo, while the respondents are Akim Shodipo, Jimo Mobogaje, Nuruddin Adenuga, Idris Adeowo, and Obakabe Shotebi, Iron Burin of Ikorodu, Lagos State. The judge therefore declared that Chief Nuruddin Fokayama was the authentic Baale of Okebogun. Ikorodu, Lagos State, having been nominated and installed by due process, and also gave an order of perpetual injunction restraining the defendants, their counsel, privies, or any person acting through or in their state from further acting unlawfully, interrupting the claimants in their day-to-day administrative of the Lambo branch, Oju Egun Lasunwo Royal family, Lagos State. Meanwhile, counsel to the defendant, Mr. Debisi Ogundipe, thanked the court for its incisive judgment and prayed the court to order that each party be ordered to bear the respective cost. Osun State government has directed a continuation of the curfew earlier imposed on Orolu and Irepodun local government area of the state. The extension of the curfew, according to a statement signed by the Commissioner for Information and Enlightenment, Kolapo Alimi, revealed that the directive was taken in order to This is coming after the communal clashes had erupted between Ilobo and Ifon communities over a parcel of land at Opapa village, which resulted to the clash and loss of lives, and the Osun State government imposing a dusk to dawn curfew in the local government areas in September. The curfew was later relaxed after tension had gone down in the area. A statement said Governor Ademola Adeleke has directed that the curfew placed on Orolu and Irepodun local government areas continues, while the governor has insisted that there was need for peace between the two local government areas. Adeleke, according to the statement, also asks that the ethos of peace, love and unity, which the state is known for, should be imbibed by the concerned parties. All Progressives Congress in Nasarawa State says the Governorship Election Petition Tribunal erred in its decision to sack Governor Abdullahi Sule, who was duly elected by the people for second term. The party in Lafayette, the state capital, described the tribunal verdict as monumental error to declare the People's Democratic Party candidate David Ombugadu as winner of the March 18 governorship election in the state. Chairman of the party, Malam Aliyu Bello, said the verdict was a misnomer and cannot stand, and rejected the tribunal outcome as it did not reflect the will of the people. The APC believes that the tribunal also committed a monumental error in declaring the PDP candidate as winner of the gubernatorial election in Nasarawa State, and appealed to the people of Nasarawa State, especially the party's supporters, to remain calm as the appellate will restore the mandate they freely gave Governor Sule for a second term. People's Democratic Party candidate in the November 11, 2023 governorship election of the Kogi State, Senator Dino Melaye, has condemned the killings and harsh living conditions under the leadership of All Progressives Congress, adding that he is in the governorship race to lead charge to emancipate the state from oppressive forces. Melaye, who disclosed this during a courtesy visit on the Catholic Bishop of Ada Diocese, Bishop Anthony Adaji, stressed that his interest in the governorship race is to liberate the people of Kogi State from the strange hold of the very insensitive, incompetent and corrupt APC. According to a statement by the spokesperson, Senator Dino Melaye, campaign counsel Barrister Omoyemi Olumudi, the PDP candidate decried the wickedness being exhibited by the APC administration in the state, which had withheld the legitimate salaries and pension of workers, in addition to squandering the funds meant for the direct benefit of the people in healthcare, education, water resources, and other key sectors in the state. Responding, Bishop Adaji said Dino is not a stranger in state political landscape, stressing that as a senator, he opposed situations that would have affected the people gravely, and we will continue to be grateful for their contributions toward the emancipation of all our people. Youths in Kogi State have been warned to desist from vote buying and violence before, during and after the forthcoming governorship election in the state. The resident Anti-Corruption Commissioner, Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, Ulu James Okoro, gave the warning on Wednesday at a Kogi Youth Town Hall meeting, where the Charter of Demand by Kogi Youths was also presented to gubernatorial candidates in the state. Represented by the agency's Principal Superintendent of Operations, Skippy Nathaniel, the resident Anti-Corruption Commissioner, noted that the ICPC, pursuant to its mandate of eradicating corruption in the country, will be fully involved involved in curbing electoral corruption in the forthcoming elections, reacting to development on ATM blowout. Socio-political analyst Ambassador Ernest Roland T. Douglas called on the ICPC to prosecute anyone found guilty of vote buying, as this would serve as a deterrent to others who plan to indulge in such acts. Here is the update.
All these malfeasance was so obvious. I mean, there are videos and photographs of all these vote buying issues during the presidential election in Kogi State. And there were even killings. Not one person has been arrested, taken to court, and prosecuted. And you see, once there are no deterrents, and once there is no public indication of certain people, have been prosecuted for such acts, then it will just be an academic exercise. Keep telling the same people that are so vulnerable, so below poverty, not to see money and not to take it. And so you have cited a good example. They've just gotten palliatives. Who has monitored it? They've asked them. Even Serap has gone that extra mile to say, listen, we need to know what exactly is going on with the distribution of the various palliatives. And so, good as it may that they are drawing their attention, but I think they should go beyond that and show publicly that there are certain people that have been persecuted from these acts, so that will become some kind of deterrent to those who probably share in the feeling that, look, if I'm being offered money for that services, I'll be glad to.
Ambassador Ernest further warned of a continued deficit in trust in the electoral process with the recent tribunal judgments, which have so far not addressed the misgivings of dubious electoral processes during the election. Here is the update.
There is a general apathy towards any election in Nigeria. And it will surprise you that the turnout in these elections of November in the 3 states will be so profound in action that you realize that, look, INEC at this current trust deficit and at this current apathy that Nigerians have, actually have that extra encouragement that violence is going to be, it has come to stay. Because a lot of people in other states are making references where certain personalities were seen on viral videos committing these crimes, and nothing has happened to them. Such people are still walking free. And of course, what you see is going to have a lot more impact than what you're being told. So I think that, a precedent has been set, and if there are no consequences for some of these actions, it's going to be a real huge task convincing, the electorate and the supporters of these individual politicians in political parties not to go through this.
Partnership for Issues-Based Campaign in Nigeria, known as PICAN, says democracy in Nigeria is under a serious attack while advocating for a total overhaul of the electoral and judicial system to salvage the situation. National President of PICAN, Comrade Bako Abdul Usman, who disclosed this in Kaduna State, took a swipe at the Independent National Electoral Commission following what the group described as failure in the discharge of their responsibilities as it relates to pre-election matters, stressing that some of the recent tribunal judgments across the country have exposed the disturbing reality and the need for a total overhaul of the electoral and judicial system to salvage it, noting that Nigeria need to bring to an end the era of the judiciary using technicalities to subvert the popular and free will of the people. As part of measures to salvage the electoral process, PSS is now urged the agencies to prioritize investigating those wrongfully arrested to be set free and restore the confidence of the people in democracy. While security institutions of state should investigate and bring the perpetrators of the fraud that was highlighted in the judgment on stamped and unsigned ballot papers. Military task force responsible for maintaining peace in Plateau State and Southern Kaduna, codenamed Operation Safe Haven on Operation Hakurin Damisa 4, said 91 criminal suspects have been arrested in the last 10 days. It also said the suspects arrested are for crimes ranging from kidnapping, farm destruction, drug peddling, and cattle rustling, among others. Media Information Officer Operation Safe Haven in Jos, the Plateau State capital, Captain Oya James, who disclosed, said troops of Operation Safe Haven on Operation Hakurin Damisa 4 during several operations launched from 25th September to 4th October 2023 have arrested 91 criminal suspects in connection with the kidnapping of University of Jos students, attack on Takania village, farm destruction, armed robbery, drug peddling, and cattle rustling, amongst others. According to him, the notorious kidnappers Bashiru Musa and Idris Abdurrahman, who have been on the wanted list of the Operation Safe Haven, were arrested at Misa Ali village in Basa local government area of Plateau State, while the suspects during interrogation narrated that they were involved in the kidnapping of 7 students of the University of Jos in July 2023, adding that items recovered from the suspects include one AK-47 rifle loaded with 12 rounds of 7.62 millimeter special. The Commander Operation Safe Haven, Major General A.A. Abubakar, commended residents of Plateau, Bauchi, and Southern Kaduna for the cooperation so far enjoyed and urged them to continually provide actionable information to troops as they work tenaciously to protect lives and property, while assuring residents that the arrested suspects would be charged in court immediately after investigations. Abducted Benue State Commissioner of Information, Culture and Tourism, Matthew Abo, regained his freedom in the early hours of Thursday. Abo, who was abducted by gunmen who invaded his house in Zaki Bayam on Sunday, was said to have reunited with his family at about 1 a.m. A source close to the family did not state whether any ransom was paid before his release. The spokesperson for the State Police Command, Catherine Anene, is yet to make any comment on the matter. Flood has displaced over 500 people from their houses in Ungwan, Tana, a community in Jimeta, Yola, North local government area of Adamawa State. The flood was attributed to overflow of River Benue along its banks around the community due mainly to release of water from Lagdo Dam in Cameroon. The affected persons are now taking shelter at the Government Day Secondary School, Lamawa, Jimata, where academia activities have been affected. While principal of the school, Musa Jada, said several of the classrooms are being occupied by some of the displaced persons. The state deputy governor, Professor Kalepua Faruta, who visited the community, promised government intervention, adding that government is in partnership with non-government River Benue is expected to increase further. The Vice-Chancellor of the University of Abuja, Professor Abdul Rashid Na Allah, says students who intend to study in the university must undertake and present a drug test before admission process is completed. Professor Na Allah said the institution is interested in knowing students' drug status so to be able to help them to be free of drug abuse. Speaking at the 27th pre-convocation briefing on Wednesday in Abuja, he said they were working with the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, to help students who are involved in drug abuse and to rehabilitate them not to become nuisance after graduation. Reacting to the development on ATM blowout, socio-political analyst, Ambassador Ernest Roland T. Douglas praised the tertiary institution.
This is a good policy, but it's going to be abused.
What do you mean?
When you say students have to undergo this drug test, I can tell you for free that it will give probably the security men there and maybe some of the personnel to now make it some kind of a fund drive avenue. When we talk about drugs, it's in all facets of our society today, from the politicians at the top to even some of our security men are involved in all this, directly or indirectly. And so, yeah, it's a good start, but you'll see that it's going to be abused in the sense that most of these students and the guys who go through this test for the admission process will now want to play a backhand deals or probably paying money. And it's going to be now those who can pay more that may be waved off from this test. And I mean, we've got past issues where some of these things have been advocated, and midway, it closed out very embarrassingly. There was a time it was suggested that from the National Assembly, all these politicians at those levels should also undergo drug tests. Where did we ended up with? So policies we are good at, but when it comes to implementation, it's always abuse. And that's why I feel that, they shouldn't breach the rights of the students who are coming in there. They should have their own way of identifying amongst themselves those who are involved in these drugs, and not to subject, students into this. I think it's a breach of rights, and it shouldn't be encouraged, because definitely.
Ambassador Ernest further blamed the glamorization of drug use in the entertainment industry for promoting drug use amongst youth, and called on the government to support the Drug Law Enforcement Agency to reduce drug use in the country. Here is the update.
And if you look at our, Nigerian movies and some of these foreign movies, these drugs are being glamorized. But the question we should ask ourselves is that how were these drugs in the first place brought into this country? Were there not institutions, people with the constitutional responsibility to checkmate this? Okay, those that are internally within our system, how have we been able to, mitigate its distribution process and also its consumption process? And don't forget that a lot of some of these people, youths that get into this act, it's sometimes, for them, a temporary way out of their circumstances, unemployment, feeling frustrated within our society. And so they see it as a temporary, solution to the problems that they have. So if we are really serious and we want to achieve a certain degree of cleansing, then we have to start from the top. Because when you talk about these issues of drug abuse and drug availability, there are institutions that are mandated, to checkmate this.
December 15 to deliver judgment in the appeals filed by the federal government and the detained leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu. The Apex Court fixed the date after Tijani Ghazali San cancelled till the federal government and the IPOB leader, Professor Mike Ozekome San, adopted their processes filed in the Mate. While adopting the processes on behalf of the federal government, Ghazali urged the court to allow the appeal, set aside an earlier judgment by the Court of Appeal, which quashed the treasonable felony charge against Kanu and ordered his release on the grounds that he was unlawfully renditioned back to the country after he jumped bail. Ghazali further prayed the court to affirm the judgment of the Federal High Court, Abuja, which held that Kanu should stand trial on the charges struck out by the Court of Appeal, and urged the court to dismiss the cross-appeal filed by Kanu for lacking in merit. Ozekome, while adopting the processes filed against the appeal on behalf of the IPOB leader, wants the court to allow the judgment of the Court of Appeal and set aside the later order for the stay of the execution of the judgment, and also pray the court to uphold the cross-appeal filed to the justice in the matter. After the final submission by counsel in the matter, the court reserved December 15 for judgment. Presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, said he would only drop his fight with President Bola Tinubu if the Supreme Court rules in the president's favor. When asked if he would ever step down the legal battle against President Tinubu, Atiku also disproved the allegations that he betrayed Tinubu, who many see as his former political ally. This is coming after Atiku had secured the release of Tinubu's educational records from the Chicago State University through a court subpoena against the disclosure by President Tinubu. The released records, which came first on October 3rd, and a deposition on Tuesday, showed that Tinubu's 1979 Chicago State University certificate he submitted to the Independent National Electoral Commission was different from samples of the certificate the university issued to students that same year. And while under oath, the Chicago State University registrar said he could not authenticate the certificate Tinubu presented to INEC. According to Atiku, Bola Ahmed Tinubu forged the certificate he presented to INEC, while the qualifying certificate from Southwest College bears a female indicating it does not belong to Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who is a male. He also said the Chicago State University admission application form has a claim that Bola Ahmed Tinubu attended Government College Lagos and graduated in 1970 when the school was established in 1974. Hence, and he perjured, adding that the owner of the Chicago State University document is a black American, and Bola Ahmed Tinubu denied having dual citizenship in his INEC form, which means the document does not belong to him, or he perjured in his INEC form. Atiku also said Tinubu claimed A in the name in the Chicago documents as Ahmed, but the documents he submitted to INEC has Adekunle, while Atiku has revealed that he will be making an application to Supreme Court with the documents from the case. Former Minister of Aviation, Mr. Osita Chidoka, has called for the immediate resignation of Bola Ahmed Tinubu following the controversy surrounding his academic records at the Chicago State University. Chidoka, a chieftain of the People's Democratic Party, who disclosed this, made the assertion following allegations that the president's certificate submitted to the Independent National Electoral Commission was forged. This is coming after the Chicago State University on Monday released Tinubu's academic records to the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, who is seeking the nullification of Tinubu's election in the court, while the release of the document is currently fueling controversies in the political space as opposition parties and their supporters vowed to unseat the president. Speaking on the matter, Chidoka advised Tinubu to honor the country, tender his resignation and apologize to Nigerians for the source of his certificate, while lamenting that the certificate saga had damaged the reputation of the country and would affect the country's ability to intermediate in the West African sub-region. Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Olukayode Ariwola, has sworn in his son Olukayode Jr. and 22 others as new judges of the Federal High Court. The judges sworn in at the Supreme Court Abuja are Dikbolu Deinde Isaac from Ogun, Ogundare Kehinde Olaiwola from Ekiti, Abaje Olufumiloya Lola Adetutu from Lagos, Musa Kakaki from Kaduna, Abdullahi Muhammad Dan Ige from Sokoto, and Sharon Tanko Ishaya from Kebbi. Others are Salim Olasupo Ibrahim from Ogun, Yiwa Hawa Joseph from Gombe, Wigwe Ore Chituru Joy from Rivers, Owoye Alexander Olesheyi from Kogi, Anyelewa Onoja Alapa from Benue, Amina Aliyu Muhammad from Katsina, Abiodu Jordan Adeyemi from Kwara, Hawa Buhari from Federal Capital Territory, and Aishatu Alta Ibrahim from Bonu. The rest are Hassani Dadan Garba from Bauchi, Ibrahim Ahmad Kala from Gombe, Mashkor Salisu from Zamfara, Ona Chigozie Sejus from Enugu, Ewe Raphael Joshua from Bayelsa, Ekerete Udofort Aban from Akwa Ibom, and Ogazi Friday Nkema Konam from Ebonyi. Special court-martial set up by the Nigerian Army has found the former group managing director and executive vice chairman of Nigerian Army Properties Limited, Major General Umar Muzau Mohammed, guilty of 14 of 18 count charges, which are all contrary to service laws. The charges including stealing, forgery, conspiracy, theft, and unauthorized diversion of army property, among others, and they are all subject to service discipline, adding that among the charges was the collection of a sum of $1,045,400 paid by shipping companies for the use of Nigerian Army jetty located at number 6 Marina Victoria Island, Lagos. Major General Mohammed was also found guilty of a theft of $30,800 being monies paid into Nigerian Army domiciliary account at Unity Bank, Abuja, for use of Nigerian Army JT, Marina VI Lagos. It also alleged that Major General Mohammed was found guilty of withdrawing and confiscating the sum of 74 million naira out of 75 million naira paid for a property belonging to the Nigerian Army at Ikoyi, Lagos, stating that the general was, however, found not guilty on allegations that he sold army property worth 200 million naira in Lagos, as well as stole the sum of another 750 million naira out of the sum of 2.5 billion naira secured from banks, as well as contribution from subscribers for the Army Housing Estate in Asokoro, Abuja. He was also not found guilty of charges of forging a deed of agreement document pursuant to confiscating another army property in Lagos. The Special Court Martial, with Major General Kems Miam as president, has 7 other Major Generals as members and a Brigadier General as judge advocate, and it is expected to read out its sentences for the accused by Tuesday next week, adding that during the court martial, Major General Mohammed was brought into the court in a wheelchair, but President of the court, Major General Mian, said all necessary medical checks should be carried out on the accused and all proved that he was fit to stand trial. Nigeria Railway Corporation says it has suspended some staff over an act of misconduct which it considered as a flagrant disobedience to lay down rules and utter betrayal of the confidence reposed on such workers, especially at this time when the federal government is making all efforts at revitalizing and modernizing the corporation. A statement signed by the Deputy Director of Public Relations, Yakub Mahmood, said the suspension of the staff follows a viral video that has been trending on various social media platforms, vividly showing railway staff negotiating with passengers on board Lagos-Ibadan train service to pay without obtaining official boarding ticket, and urged the general public to condemn such act of misconduct. Yakub said the misconduct is regrettable and unacceptable as it negates the identified tenets and norms of the corporation and has therefore placed the identified erring officers on immediate suspension pending the outcome of the in-depth investigation already ongoing by the management committee set up to investigate the issue. The statement also assured passengers and the general public that the unwholesome attitude and image dent to the corporation by any staff will not be tolerated nor treated with any levity, adding that disciplinary proceedings in line with extant rules, citing relevant sections of the Nigeria Railway Corporation General Rules and Public Service Rules, will definitely be visited on all those found wanting or connected to the irresponsible act. The statement further enjoined all intended passengers on Lagos-Ibadan train service and others train corridors to insist and demand for boarding ticket after making appropriate payment at the designated stations or book online appropriately. Passengers are equally advised to note that the electronic ticketing system is being deployed and will be available on both the Lagos-Ibadan train service and the Warri-Ibe train service by end of October 2023. Minister of Interior Bumi Tunju Ojo has issued a 2-week timeline for the processing of the Nigerian passport. Tunji Ojo, who stated this in Abuja, said the Nigeria Immigration Service has cleared over 204,000 backlog of passport applications in the last 3 weeks and apologized to Nigerians that the clearance of the backlog had spilled into 3 weeks as opposed to the 2 weeks deadline he gave. The minister pleaded with Nigerians to go to the Nigerian Immigration Service offices to collect their passports, adding that they should not pay but report any officials engaged in racketeering. He also urged Nigerians to please lodge their complaints via the following lines, preferably SMS and WhatsApp, or email aa@yahoo.com. Tragedy struck on Wednesday as Senate correspondent of the Tribune newspaper, Tijani Adeyemi, died of cardiac arrest in one of the National Assembly shuttle buses. The Tribune reporter had boarded one of the shuttles from the main gate known as Mopole Gate around at 10 a.m. and by the time he got to the checkpoint and was discovered to be lifeless, efforts to resuscitate him failed and he was pronounced dead when he was rushed to the clinic of the Secretary General of the Federation. Adeyemi's body was thereafter kept at the National Assembly's clinic for evacuation and burial after being pronounced dead at the medical clinic. His remains were laid to rest at the Gudu Cemetery in line with Islamic rites. World Teachers Day is a heartfelt tribute to the dedicated educators who shape the future by imparting knowledge and inspiring young minds. This global celebration acknowledges the invaluable contributions of teachers and their role in nurturing generations. As World Teachers Day 2023 approaches, let's delve into the significance of this day, its historical origins, and the ways you can join in honoring educators worldwide. World Teachers Day 2023 is a day of recognition and appreciation for teachers around the world. It's an occasion to celebrate the profound impact teachers have on society by equipping students with the skills, knowledge, and values needed for success. This day also serves as a reminder of the importance of quality education and the role of teachers in achieving it. World Teachers Day has a rich history dating back to 1966, when the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization and the International Labour Organization established the special Intergovernmental Conference on the Status of Teachers in Paris. This conference adopted the UNESCO and ILO recommendation concerning the status of teachers, while outlines teachers' rights and responsibilities. World Teachers Day was first celebrated on October 5th, 1994, to commemorate the 30th anniversary of the 1966 conference. Since then, it has become an annual event recognized globally as an occasion to acknowledge and honor the remarkable contributions of teachers to society. National Association of Proprietors of Private Schools has urged the government at all levels and other education sector stakeholders always to lend their support to teachers and motivate them in various areas that will help them for quality service delivery. The national president of NAPPS, Yomi Otubela, shared these thoughts in his message to commemorate the 2023 World Teachers Day being celebrated today globally and termed "The teachers will need for the education we want." The teachers will need for the education we want. The global imperative to reverse the teachers' shortage. He congratulated all teachers, particularly in Nigeria, on the occasion, saying he is very proud to associate with them, adding that the work of teachers anywhere in the world is unquantifiable. NAPPS boss also asked governments at all levels, school owners and administrators to make schools nationwide safer and more conducive for teaching and learning. In its own message, the League of Muslim School Proprietors also commended the efforts of all teachers in and outside the country in building the nations, while the League's General Secretary, Mr. Fatai Rahim, urged governments at all levels to always see and treat private schools as partners, stressing that government could do so by accommodating teachers from private schools in their human capital development programs and other activities that can lift them. He also urged every school owner, especially in Nigeria, where the cost of living soared each day, to improve their teachers' welfare and remuneration packages to enable them to perform well in their jobs and other endeavors. World Bank and the Federal Ministry of Education have concluded plans to train a minimum of 50,000 youths in Nigeria, empowering them with various digital skills through innovation grants. This project is part of the Federal Ministry of Education, FME, Ideas project in collaboration with the World Bank, and will offer hands-on vocational training to help youths access suitable jobs and provide post-placement support to ensure sustainable employment for those who choose to enter the labor market. Speaking at the FME Ideas Midterm Review meeting held at the Palms Hotel, Abuja, Senior Economist Education Global Practice at the World Bank, Dilip Parujli, stated that in this particular project, the target is not large, but rather 50,000 beneficiaries, adding that the bank believes that this is relatively small number, considering that approximately 3.6 million youths enter the labor market each year. However, He emphasized that while the World Bank cannot support initiatives on such a large scale everywhere, they can make an impact by employing this approach, whether it's for 50,000, 100,000, or even 200,000 or 300,000 youths, while the primary goal is to complete all project components within 5 years, noting that the project aims to establish an agreement or platform that can benefit the future of youths with the potential for other partners, including the World Bank, to become involved. The economist explained that the World Bank seeks to assist the government in realizing its goals and contributions through initiatives, and expressed excitement about the project and the lively discussions on its implementation and potential design tweaks for maximum impact, stressing that the project supports both recent school graduates and out-of-school youths interested in acquiring foundational, digital, and trade-specific skills. Federal government has unveiled plans to commence the payment of 25,000 grants to members of the Nigeria Union of Pensioners captured in the expanded National Social Register of the Conditional Cash Transfer Scheme. Minister for Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, Dr. Betta Edu, who disclosed this when she met with the leadership of the Nigerian Labour Congress, led by its president, Comrade Joe Ajero, at Labour House in Abuja, explained that the decision to include vulnerable pensioners in the CCT scheme was President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's commitment to Labour leaders, which he will deliver on. He was, however, of the view that getting to the root cause of poverty would go a long way in addressing the problem with strong social welfare interventions and job creation that will go a long way to support families, and thanked the minister for being the first member of the Federal Executive Council to visit Labour House in President Tinubu's administration, and for finding time to visit the leadership of the Nigeria Labour Congress. On his part, President of the Nigeria Union of Pensioners, Godwin Abumisi, thanked President Tinubu and the minister for finding the retirees worthy of the federal government benefits. Governments of the southwestern states have resolved to boost regional trade with the proposed rail interconnectivity. The state commissioners of the transportation from the respective states and the Southwest Management Team of the Development Agenda for Western Nigeria and other relevant stakeholders from the region had at a meeting in Ibadan to link all the states in the region with rail infrastructure. This, according to them, will accelerate economic growth and other development in the region. The Director General of the Development Agenda for Western Nigeria, Mr. Sheye Oyeleye, said the proposed connection of the 6 states in the region would depopulate the urban centers as well as ease the movement from one end to the other, stating that the ideas were conceived and birthed by Dawn, and the Commission is being saddled with the responsibility of muting developmental ideas subject to approval of the respective state government. Oyeleye, who flooded the introduction of the blue and red line rail system in Lagos State, submitted that the proposed rail infrastructure, which is designed to link all the states in the region, would be laudable projects, adding that the 6 states will put together a roadmap and timeline to ensure actualization of the project, while there must be a proper transportation system across the region to enhance development, stressing that the rail has now been devoid to individual states, while there are still little challenges hindering working together of these states, but the gathering would find solution to it. You are watching the Global News on Atlantic Television Network. We will be back after this break. Senate has resolved to investigate the circumstances leading to the abandonment of Miss Greatness Olorunfemi by the staff and management of Maitama General Hospital in Abuja. This was sequel to a motion moved by Senator Asukwo Ekpeyong, demanding urgent need to ensure compliance with the provisions of the Act 2017 that ensures compulsory treatment and care to victims of gunshot wounds and other emergencies.
On the 26th of September, late Miss Greatness Olorunfemi was denied opportunity to fight for her life due to an account of alleged refusal of Maitama General Hospital to accept and treat her after being pushed out of a fast-moving vehicle by one-chance operators. The Senate during plenary on Thursday, having condemned the act by the hospital, will be investigating the tragedy. Moving the motion, Senator Asukwo Ekpeyong also requested for stiffer penalties as stated by Section 13 of the Act 2017 beyond 5 years jail term of 50,000 naira for any authority that faults this provision.
Of such victims alongside punishments for contravention of the provisions of this Act, but that the problem is centered around enforcement and compliance. Affirms the need to uphold the provisions of Section 14, 2B, 33 and 34 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as altered, and to ensure strict compliance with the provision of the Compulsory Treatment and Care of Victims of Gunshots Act 2017 to stop further unnecessary loss of precious life due to persistent refusal of hospitals to admit, treat, and care for victims of gunshots and other emergencies.
After several deliberations and contributions by lawmakers, the Senate mandated its Committee on Health, FCT, and Police Affairs to investigate the matter by inviting relevant authorities to appear before it and report back to the Senate in 3 weeks.
Mandate the Committees on Health, FCT, and Police Affairs to investigate the circumstances that led to the death of Ms. Greatness Olorunfemi and report back to the Senate in 3 weeks. Thank you.
Any compliance with this resolution? Those who are in support of this prayer say aye. Those who are against it say nay. The ayes have it.
The Senate thereafter observed a 1-minute silence for Ms. Greatness Olorunfemi and other victims of gunshot wounds and other emergency who may have suffered the same fate by paying the ultimate price. From Abuja, Rotimi Adeoye.
House of Representatives has called on the federal government to ensure the proper payment of top priority judgment debt incurred by ministries, departments, and agencies through promissory notes. This followed a motion at the House plenary on Thursday by Honorable Lanre Okunlola, representing Surulere 2 of Lagos. Okunlola said MDAs of government have incurred substantial judgment debt totaling the sum of $556,754 US, $584.81 billion, and $226,281,801,881.64 billion naira. According to him, the figures poses a significant financial burden on the nation's finances. The lawmaker expressed concern that the judgment debts are top priority obligations that require prompt resolution to ensure financial stability and reputation of government, calling for urgency of addressing the judgment debts to safeguard the financial stability of the government. He urged the House to mandate the committees on AIDS, loans and debt management and justice to investigate the process of issuing promissory notes. Here is the update.
I rise to move a motion on the need to ensure proper payment of top priority judgment debts incurred by ministries, departments, agencies through promissory notes. Concerned that the judgment debt are top priority obligations that require prompt resolution to ensure financial stability and reputation of government. The House resolves as follows. Acknowledge the existence of the magnitude of judgment debt incurred by the ministries, departments, and agents of government. Recognize the urgency in addressing the judgment debt to safeguard the financial stability of the government. Authorize the issuance of a promissory note to settle judgment debts. Mandates the Committee on AIDS, Loans and Debt Management to oversee the process of issuance of promissory note.
The committees are expected to report back for further legislative action. Up next is business news. Federal government plans to make the Ajokuta environment a free trade zone to attract foreign direct investments and to diversify the economy of the country. The Minister of Steel Development, Prince Shaibu Abubakar Audu, disclosed this at his maiden visit to the Ajokuta Steel Company Limited as he took a tour of the complex. He further stated that Ajokuta Steel Company, if gotten right, would create over 500,000 jobs, which would be enough to lift Nigerians out of poverty, and thanked President Bola Tinubu for having the vision to create a steel development ministry. He pledged his commitment to ensure the production of steel from the multi-billion-dollar Ajokuta Steel Company in a 3-year plan, adding that the visit was aimed at getting first-hand knowledge of the problems stopping production in the company in a bid to preferring solution. He said the President Bola Tinubu had also taken interest in the resuscitation of the Ajokuta Steel Complex by appointing him as a pioneer minister to show the world the importance of steel development to industrialization. According to him, in line with the key point agenda of renewed hope of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, some of the key elements are job creation, diversification of the economy, and attracting foreign direct investment, adding that the key point agenda will also help us eradicate poverty, adding that his job was to ensure that all those typical issues that held the plant from producing be resolved. The minister has also visited Itabe Iron Ore on his 2-day walking visit. State governments have borrowed about 46.17 billion naira from 3 banks to pay salaries between January and June 2023. The findings were based on an analysis of the half-year 2023 financial statements of Access Bank, Fidelity Bank, and Zenith Bank Group. And the states borrowed the most from Access Bank in 6 months, with a record of 42.97 billion naira loan. It was followed by Zenith Bank with 1.78 billion naira borrowed, and Fidelity Bank borrowed 1.42 billion naira and to be refunded within the 6-month period. According to the H1 2023 financial statement of Access Bank, the outstanding balance on the salary bailout fund was 58.84 billion naira by June 30th, 2023, from 101.81 billion naira in December 2022. This was according to an analysis of the communiques issued by the Federation Account Allocation Committee between January to July for 2022 and 2023. In 2022, a total of 4.96 trillion naira was shared for the first 7 months of the year, while in 2023, a total of a total of 5.5 trillion naira was shared for the first 7 months of the year. Therefore, the figure for internally generated revenue was limited to 25 out of 36 states in the country. Federal government says it would convert 10 million premium motor spirit vehicles to compressed natural gas in the next 36 months. A statement by the spokesperson for the Minister of State Petroleum Resources, Luis Iba, said the Minister of State Petroleum Resources, stated this while on a panel tagged Energy Talk at the ongoing ADIPEC 2023 conference and exhibition in Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates, adding that the initiative is in partnership with the private sector. Ebo said key benefits of the initiative includes creating over 100,000 jobs for Nigerians, increasing government savings from reduced subsidy payout for the importation of PMS, reducing carbon emission following the utilization of clean gas to drive internal combustion engines, adding that the commitment of the federal government in creating an enabling operational and fiscal environment to support investments in the upstream, midstream, and downstream gas sectors. According to him, the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is poised to promote business around Nigeria's abundant natural gas resources, adding that the minister, who is the head of the Nigerian delegation to the event, listed several initiatives relating to government's action to promote and support gas-based industrialization and decarbonisation agenda with the cooperation and support of the organised private sector. The minister informed the audience about specific policy changes targeted at gas pricing regime, non-associated gas acreage development and review of the terms of the production sharing contracts, adding that they are all aimed at attracting investments of more than $20 billion into the country for NAG offshore and deep water acreage development, stressing that the ministry is working closely with her respective parastatals to get reforms across upper legislative chamber for approval and subsequently for president's endorsement. National Oil Spill Detection and Response Agency says its data shows that the federal government lost about 843 billion naira to gas flaring between January 2022 and August 2023. Nostra, in its latest gas flare report, disclosed that oil and gas companies operating in the country between January and August 2022 flared 147.1 billion SCF of gas, valued at $514.9 million, about 390 billion naira, using Central Bank of Nigeria's current exchange rate of 757.5. Using Central Bank of Nigeria's current exchange rate of 757 naira 50 kobo to a dollar, while the firms between January and August 2023 flared 171.1 billion standard cubic feet of gas, valued at about $599 million. This gives a total of about 847 billion naira lost between January and August last year and the same period this year, while the volume of gas flared in the 8-month period this year was 16.28% higher compared with the same period in 2022, adding that the gas flared in the first 8 months of this year had the potential of generating 17,100 gigawatts an hour of electricity, while it emitted 9.1 million tons of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. In addition, it noted that the offending companies were liable for penalties of $342 million, about 251 billion naira, adding, however, that a large chunk of the penalties was never collected by the federal government, while in comparison, the oil spill Remediation Agency stated that between January and August 2022, the oil firms were liable for penalties of about $294 million and that the gas lost had a power generation potential of 14,700 gigawatts of electricity, while it was equivalent to carbon dioxide emissions of 7,800 tons. Some of the offending companies, according to the Nostra, include Shell Petroleum Development Company, Nigerian Petroleum Development Company, Chevron, Nigeria, Mobil Oil, Elf Petroleum Nigeria, Nigeria Ajib Oil Company, Adax Petroleum, Texaco Overseas and Nigeria, Cromwell and South Atlantic Petroleum, among others. The report comes on the heels of FG's pledge to the United Nations in 2020 to attain zero gas flare by 2060, 10 years after the UN's 2050 target. Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Dr. Oladele Alake, has commended Africa Finance Corporation for supporting the Tinubu administration's agenda to transform the solid minerals sector into the country's highest source of revenue. Dr. Alake, who gave the commendation during the business visit of the President and Chief Executive Officer, Africa Finance Corporation, Mr. Samaila Zabairu, to his office in Abuja. Every effort being made through policies, initiatives, and programs to make Nigeria a destination for solid minerals will be futile if the nation didn't improve on data gathering. He explained that the present administration decided to shift attention from fossil fuel and its attendant climate changes to solid minerals and as viable alternative, adding that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu decided to create the ministry, empower it, and develop policies to make it advantageous to Nigerians, while acknowledging the robust partnership between the Africa Finance Corporation and Solid Minerals Development Fund aimed at identifying and supporting development as well as stage mining projects in Nigeria. The minister said the visit of the CEO of Africa Finance Corporation signposts how critical the mining sector is to Nigeria's economic growth and prosperity. Dr. Alake assured Mr. Samaila Zubairu that the ministry will cooperate and collaborate with the Africa Finance Corporation to make the organization's roadmap actionable in tandem with the transformation agenda launched recently by the ministry to increase revenue accruable to the government, amongst others. You are still watching the news on Atlantic Television Network. Up next is International Tidbits. President of Ghana, Nana Akufo-Addo, has charged ECOWAS Parliament to speak against extension of tenures for president by some leaders in West Africa. Akufo-Addo gave the charge at the ongoing high-level parliamentary seminar organized by the ECOWAS Parliament in Ghana. He stated that some African leaders extend their tenures to strengthen their grip and power, which creates room for military takeover. While declaring the seminar open, he said that democracy in West Africa is in danger as the region is confronted with a difficult economic, political, social and security situation. The president urged all countries to work hard to entrench the principles of democratic accountability in the citizens. Here is the update.
Democracy in West Africa is in danger, and we must work even harder to entrench the principles and institutions of the Republic with the sole aim of remaining in power. Secondly, is the emerging remilitarization of governance with the return once again of the military onto the political scene, who have neither consulted nor received any mandate from the people on whose behalf they purport to act. Lastly, is the wanton desire to destroy democracy by terrorist groups and armed criminal gangs who seek to establish zones of lawlessness in the absence of freedom in our region.
In his remarks, Speaker of Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, Parliament, was democratic regression and political instability in the sub-region.
To whom much is given, much is expected, applies here. We must embrace democracy as essential to progress and muster the confident speak out against leaders who are solidifying their hold on power against the wishes of the people, because we have a moral obligation. With the same zeal and tones as we denounce military coups, we must publicly denounce corruption, poor leadership, and anti-democratic forces while resisting those who seek to undermine our democracy.
Earlier in his remark, the head of Ghana delegation of ECOWAS Parliament, Alexander Afenyo, markedly elected regimes. Here is the update.
We stand at a juncture where the road we choose will dictate the future of our great region. The recent resurgence of military
Stevens has attributed the sit-tight syndrome among African leaders as one of the factors responsible for coup d'etat cases in the continent. Stevens disclosed this during the launch of the Recycling Waste to Wealth Challenge competition for secondary school students at Abeokuta Window on America, within the precinct of the Youth Development Center of the Olusegun Obasanjo Presidential Library, Abeokuta in Ogun State, while applauding former President Olusegun Obasanjo and his successors in continent had been a huge office for 20, 30, and 40 years, which would automatically lead to political instability, and called on African leaders to embrace the tenets of democracy and ensure peaceful transition of power. He noted that there are presidents of neighboring countries that have been there for a very, very long time, 20, 30, 40 years. This leads to democratic instability and it leads to coup. While Nigeria meet scheduled to be held in Morocco will bring together hundreds of energy stakeholders and operators to discuss a myriad of topics in the hydrocarbon sector, and Morocco's city of Marrakech will host the Energy Focus Summit on October 24th to 26th, fully endorsed by the Office of Hydrocarbons and Mines. The event is organized by leading global energy investment platform, EBVR, and while convened and will convene 35 executives from different companies and West African governments, as well as investors, to discuss a wide range of topics, including the Nigeria-Morocco gas pipeline. A milestone project for Morocco and Nigeria and their respective continental ambitions, the pipeline will cover over 11 countries along the Atlantic coast to benefit over 400 million inhabitants across West Africa, while Morocco is set to be home to 1,672 kilometers of the pipeline. The pipeline's potential has been frequently highlighted by both local and international media, with this surging global interest in the Nigerian-Morocco project coming amid far-reaching repercussions of the Ukraine-Russian conflict on different energy markets worldwide, while King Mohammed VI emphasized the importance of the project during the commemoration of the 46th Green March anniversary on November 6th of last year, stressing that he wants the strategic project to benefit all of West Africa. The event will offer participants access to meetings with different operators in the sector, including Morocco's HYM, Africa ministries, and Moroccan decision makers involved in the energy hub. And the summit is now open for registration and offers prospective participants several opportunities, including networking and roundtable dialogues, the statement concluded. Kenya's opposition leader, Raila Odinga, has questioned the country's decision to lead a peacekeeping mission in Haiti to combat gang violence there, terming it a wrong move. Mr. Odinga said the planned police deployment in Haiti was not Kenya's priority, adding that the East African region already had enough problems, adding that the situation in Haiti was dangerous, warning that the planned deployment risked the lives of Kenyan police. This is coming after on Monday, the United Nations Security Council approved the deployment for a year with a review after 9 months, while Kenya's President William Ruto pledged not to fail the people of Haiti. However, some critics have opposed the move, expressing doubt over the ability of Kenyan police to take on Haiti's gangs. Police are searching for an unidentified suspect in the murder of a social justice activist who was stabbed multiple times on a New York street while returning from a wedding. Ryan Carson, 32, was murdered near a bus station in Brooklyn Crown Heights neighborhood early on 2nd October, while the suspect, who has not been named, was acting agitated before the unprovoked assault. Mayor Eric Adams vowed that police won't arrest until an arrest is made, while the surveillance camera footage shows the suspect dressed in dark clothing, Mr. Carson, and an unidentified woman at a bench near a bus station. According to officials, Mr. Carson and his companion began to walk away after seeing the suspect kicking over parked scooters before he confronted them and began shouting obscenities. NYPD Chief of Detectives Joseph Kenny said Carson was attempting to de-escalate the situation, and soon after, the suspect stabbed Mr. Carson 3 times, including one blow to the chest that pierced his heart and ultimately killed him. U.S. military says it has sent roughly 1.1 million bullets seized from Iran last year to Ukraine. The U.S. Central Command, which oversees operations in the Middle East, says the rounds were confiscated from a ship bound for Yemen in December, while Ukraine's Western allies recently warned that their production lines were struggling to keep up with the rate at which Ukraine was using ammunition. CENTCOM says the Iranian rounds were transferred to Ukraine and the ammunition was 7.6 mm caliber used in Soviet-era rifles and light machine guns. While the number is significant, it represents a small percentage of the hundreds of millions of rounds already provided by allies to Ukraine, and the U.S. has already provided more than 200 million bullets and grenades, adding that the Iranian ammunitions were originally seized by U.S. naval forces from a stateless ship named Mawan 1 on 9 December. The U.S. government gained ownership of them in July through a process known as seized if its owner is thought to be involved in criminal activity, while the claim was brought against Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. a branch of the Iranian armed forces tasked with preventing the country's government. And now, entertainment news. Barely 24 hours after being declared wanted for failing to honor police invitation in connection with the ongoing investigation into the death of the late Nigerian rapper Ileoruwa Aloba, popularly known as Mohbad, the artist's close friend Owodunni Ibrahim, also known as Prime Boy, is in police custody. This is coming after Prime Boy was declared wanted on Wednesday after he failed to show up at the police station 2 weeks after an invitation was sent to him. And the police also promised a reward of 1 million naira to anyone with useful tips and information that could lead to his arrest. However, in the latest development, Benjamin Hundian, the Lagos State Police Public Relations Officer, revealed on Thursday through his X account that Prime Boy has finally turned himself in, while the late Mohbad's close ally has since been taken into custody for interrogation. He also assured the family, friends, and fans of the late rapper, who passed away on September 20, who Mos Wala played during his artistic bankruptcy. The African giant said he was working on a joint project with Sidu Mos Wala before he was assassinated in May 2022. Burna Boy disclosed this in London, United Kingdom, adding that he exhausted himself musically and nothing was making sense to him. Singer Davido's logistics manager, Israel Afere, aka Israel DMW, has recounted his fortunate experience in the hands of kidnappers some years ago. According to the Edo-born social media sensation, he was kidnapped in 2001 alongside 3 others after boarding a vehicle heading to Ibadan from Lagos, and the abductors whom he claimed were ritualists took them to a forest midway into the journey for ritual, but that fortunately for him, he was released and given a transportation fare to leave. Israel claimed the abductors released only him because they said he was a very bad market. On Wednesday, while celebrating his birthday anniversary, he wrote that 4 were kidnapped for rituals in 2001. They gave him transportation fare and he just wanted to give glory to God Almighty. Norwegian author John Foes emerged as the winner of the 2023 Nobel Prize in Literature. The 64-year-old, who was born in Haugesund, Norway, is one of the world's most performed playwrights. The Swedish Academy in Stockholm praised his innovative plays and prose and said he gave voice to the unsayable. His work have been translated into numerous languages around the world, while the Nobel Prize in Literature is awarded by the Swedish Academy, Stockholm, Sweden. It is one of the 5 Nobel Prizes established by the will of Alfred Nobel in 1895. Last year, French writer Annie Ernaux was awarded the Nobel Prize in Literature for her courage and clinical acuity with which she uncovers the roots, estrangements, and collective restraints of personal memory. And the youngest Nobel Literature laureate was Rudyard Kipling, who was 41 when he was awarded the 1907 prize. The oldest was Doris Lessing, who was 88 when she was made laureate in 2007. The 2023 Nobel Prize in Literature is worth 11 million Swedish krona and goes to the writer deemed to be, in the word of Alfred Nobel's will, the person who shall live produce in the field of literature the most outstanding work in an ideal direction. And here now is ATN Sports News. Saudi Arabia has stated its plan to host the 2034 World Cup and the latest step in a campaign to turn the kingdom into a global sports powerhouse. Saudi Arabian Football Federation said the bid intends to deliver a world-class tournament and will draw inspiration from Saudi Arabia's ongoing socio-economic transformation and the country's deep-rooted passion for football. This is coming 1 year after neighboring Qatar hosted the first World Cup in the Middle East, where the Saudi national team stunned the world with a group stage defeat of eventual winners Argentina. On the heels of that tournament, Saudi Arabia signed Cristiano Ronaldo to play in the Saudi Pro League, while the first in a slew of major stars drawn by eye-watering salaries to the world's biggest crude oil exporter. Sport is a major component of Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's Vision 2030 reform agenda, which aims to transform Saudi Arabia into a tourism business hub while transitioning the economy away from fossil fuels. While in the coming weeks, the kingdom is set to host the final 54 Golf League tournament of the regular season, a boxing match featuring Anthony Joshua and the next generation ATP Finals tennis tournament. It will also host the FIFA Club World Cup in December, while earlier this year, Saudi Arabia was confirmed as host of football's 2027 Asian Cup. And last year, Saudi Arabia won hosting rights for the 2029 Asian Winter Games, a 47-event competition to be held in Trojena, an arena of the $500 billion futuristic megacity known as NEOM. Napoli president Aurelio De Laurentiis is confident Victor Osimhen will sign a new contract at the club. This is coming after Napoli managed to keep hold of star attackers Osimhen and Kvaratskhelia over the summer after winning a long-awaited Scudetto. However, rumors linking the Nigerian striker with the move to the Premier League after he found himself the subject of social media controversy, adding that Napoli's TikTok account appeared to mock Osimhen when it published a video of him missing a penalty. The player's agent threatened legal action, while Osimhen deleted all mention of the club from his Instagram page, adding that the 24-year-old started Napoli's 4-0 win against Leeds on the bench, but released a statement saying he will not allow anyone to come between himself and Napoli, and that his love for the club is unwavering. After Napoli suffered a 3-2 defeat to Real Madrid in the Champions League on Tuesday, the club's president dismissed fears that the TikTok incident has jeopardized efforts to get Osimhen from Lille in 2020, and last season's Serie A top scorer has since been linked with the likes of Chelsea, Manchester United, and Bayern Munich. And that's the global news for tonight. Before we go, another look at the major stories. Rivers APC describes tribunal verdict as mockery of judiciary. Dino Milaya condemns killings ahead of Kogi Guba polls. Atiku files legal action against Tinubu at Supreme Court. FG plans Ajaokuta free trade zone for foreign investors. ECOWAS Parliament charged to speak on tenure for presidents. Prime boy in police custody over Mohbad's death. Saudi Arabia announces bid to host 20